Yeah.
Good morning. It's day 5 of the Shakedown hike, which is essentially the last day. And we are finally walking. Last night was a little bit cold, wasn't it?
It was a little bit cold, but we got through it.
It didn't get to freezing, but it got into the upper 30s.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a wee bit cold.
I could tell every time I got off my sleeping mat because the cold ground reached out to grab me.
Yeah.
And then I moved back onto the mat.
Cool. So we talked about some things that'll help you feel warmer, like a blow up sleeping pad maybe, and stuff like that. So we now have to hike 10 miles to get to Washington, D.C.
But it'll be warm because we're moving.
We are moving.
As long as you're moving, you're okay.
We're doing it. Let's go.
Oh, is it 9? Yes, it's sure.
Boom.
Oh, there's number 7. I would have gone. It's hosting a little run or something.
Yeah, it
here,
looks
aren't
like
they? And there's a couple of runners
trail
behind
magic,
us.
but there's no
Looks
way
like a
that
trail
this is
magic.
trail magic.
But it's for running. Fantastic. We are making progress.
Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, I thought I was expecting no problem. Oh, hey, we're at 4. So they were all black and blue and swollen. Oh my God.
And then right next to it, there's a
Oh, I
gravestone.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that thing. Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
Whee! Whee!
Now, for a lot of people, you see that? You see that little tiny dog? Mile 2. Surely we can go. Oh yeah, there's people out there in the little bit. 18,000. Have we passed to mile 2 yet?
Whee!
it was around
Look,
here
it looks like a
somewhere.
smile.
It does look like a smile.
So we pretty much just walked
10 miles in 3 hours. Yeah.
10.9 miles.
In less than, yeah.
In less than
Yeah.
3 hours?
10.14, and we're still 10 minutes shy of 3 hours.
Wow.
Wow, that is cooking. That's
I guess we really wanted to get into
We
town.
wanted to get back.
He's becoming a real Appalachian trail hiker.
Runner behind you there.
He
Okay.
wants to get into town. He was so fast.
I want to get that Starbucks.
So fast.
I don't think anybody's going to bother. Well, that's the way it goes sometimes.
All right, Top Hat.
All right, Roadrunner.
So, 5 days.
5 days. 4 nights, 5 days.
And was it as expected? Worse? Better? As expected? What are you thinking?
It was as expected.
What did you expect?
Well, I expected a knowledgeable, professional person, experienced person that could come and tell me honestly what the advantages of my my instinctual setup were, and also the disadvantages. And there are some disadvantages, primarily the initial weight. I think the thing you have to keep in mind is that you just can't bring everything.
Right.
And you don't need everything. That's the good news. A few pleasure items, but you don't need 2.5 pounds of sweet and low.
Yeah.
You need 1 pound, but not 2.5. You don't need a 4-pound tent. You don't need
No.
Now, I think what I've been reflecting on is that if you don't really pay some mind to these kinds of things, it doesn't mean you can't go and do it, but it does mean that the exertion and exhaustion level will be higher than it needs to be.
Right.
There's going to be some exertion, there's going to be some exhaustion, but it doesn't have to be as high necessarily as it might be if you were doing this with just what you put together based on a fairly small amount of experience, which is all that I have, which is all that I think most people would have.
Is there something that you learned that you didn't kind of already know? Because I think we all generally know that it's going to be hard. We know that we need to shake down the gear. Is there anything that you took away?
Well, it's funny. I do. I did have some sense that the heavier you are, the harder it's going to be, and that it does require a steady amount of, a fair degree of effort over a long period of time. But, it's one thing to think about that theoretically and cognitively. It's another one to experience it.
Yeah.
And it is good to experience before you get out there and have this 2,000-mile trail stretching in front of you. So, you really get a good sense being out there with you. I really got a good sense for what it's really going to be like out there. And yes, it's tough, but it can be made a little less tough by taking the lessons and advice and experience of somebody like you who has already gone out there and bit that big apple and chewed it all up. Now, we did a little bit in 4 days, but it's a good sample.
It is. Is there something that you are concerned about for your through hike still?
Well, let's see. Yeah, equipment, you're always thinking equipment, especially, you've provided some really great suggestions about what equipment would fit for my experience level and my sort of what it is that I'm trying to do out there. And I'm going to take a look at that. But I'm always thinking about equipment and the fact that I do need to be able to figure out what to do when I break some of this equipment, because I am hard on equipment.
Right.
And when it breaks, well, it's going to be the only thing that I have out there. So I'm going to need some
alternate,
at least some small ability to repair the things that I'm using on the way. I know that your tent, you were showing me how you've patched it from time to time, and so I'll certainly be wanting to at least have that ability to make small repairs on the move. Of course, there's towns every so often where things can be restored.
I think one of the things that with regard to gear, I think you are thinking about kind of replacing most of your gear.
Yes,
correct?
Most of it's going to have to be upgraded a wee bit. Yeah.
I think it's important for people to know it doesn't really have to be upgraded. It's just a sense of why not make it more comfortable.
Sure.
Because I think the tent you have, while it's 4 pounds, it still would work.
Yeah.
And I think the sleeping bag that you have, while it's heavy, and maybe not what you want with regard to a mummy bag, it still works. But I think what's important is that just because you can carry heavy doesn't mean that you have to carry heavy, right?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. Yeah, the tent worked. We were in rain for how long did we pause for? About 36 hours.
Yeah.
Rain.
Right.
And it did not leak.
Good.
And
you stayed dry.
It did the job.
Yeah.
My sleeping bag, we were in last night, 36 degree overnight low. My sleeping bag was warm and toasty. It was
and you have a 20-degree Kelty.
Yes,
so,
a long one, which means more mass, more weight.
Right.
But, the thing you have to start thinking about from my viewpoint is I'm certain that I can get equipment that will do that same job at half the weight.
Yes.
Or 1/3 the weight. And that just makes such a huge difference in your enjoyment of the periods of time when you're not in the tent and not in the bag. So it's well worth, this gear that I have won't go to waste. I've used it, and I'll do something with it so somebody has an ability to use it. And at the very least, we'll add it to the stuff at the Boy Scout hut in my town, and the boys will use it.
Yeah.
But when I get on the big trail, the big boys trail, I want to have the big boy gear.
Good.
And it was great to be here and see some of yours, which is big girl gear.
Do you still want to hike the AT?
I do. Yeah, I'm very excited. I hope that we can do a little, some more of this kind of experience. And then we'll all be ready for the big one, March 15th.
Awesome. And if you want to follow, if people want to follow you, right? I think people like following somebody's journey. Is there a way they can follow you?
Well, I'm primarily on Instagram. That's really my social media channel of choice, at Top Hat Banjo, which, you know, I guess I'll keep it as Top Hat Banjo.
Yeah,
all my followers
you
know
should.
that. Although I'm not going to be carrying a banjo.
Right.
But I am going to be carrying that fiddle.
Yes.
And I'm hoping to be able to get some playing.
But you do fun, like, so it's not just pictures, you do videos too.
Yeah,
so-
videos and a whole bunch of my recently departed but much loved little dog. A lot of his videos are still on there. He had a great life, and you know, I'm a wee bit sad when I think of him, but he had a great life, and he was a wonderful little doggy. A lot of good clips of him on there, and there'll be some future good clips.
Absolutely. So at Top Hat Banjo.
At Top Hat Banjo. all
Follow
one word.
him, he's starting soon.